Robots Radio presents
Fresh Tomatoes, the movie podcast.
I'm not usually a hat fan, but wow.
Jeg vil ikke være en dagger.
I'm really sipping on that dumb bitch juice today, and
Yeah, I am. But you know what? Someday I just might grow out of that, but you will never stop being a jerk.
All chocolate cakes are good. You're a fascist.
it's hideous.
It's horrible.
It's home. Angry white boy, let's go! Hello, and welcome to Fresh Tomatoes, the movie podcast. The podcast for which there might be a scientific explanation, but do you really want to hear it? That's Chad Ekowitz.
And that's Simone LaRue bringing the fire from the beginning of the podcast. Simone, we are in such a golden age of sort of life, you know, where we see science as an option rather than sort of
I love it.
fact. And you know what? Nothing makes it better and more sort of visual than cryptids, right?
Yeah. I don't really care for cryptids, to be honest. I'm going to say this at the very top of the Mothman episode, so we've lost half our listeners. But what I do care for is the people who really love cryptids.
Yes.
Because I think like there's this fun special thing where like they found this interesting thing and like it can't really be explained and no one actually really wants to explain it. It's more like the fun of like thinking about what it could be. And I respect that. I really do. I like answers.
Absolutely.
And that's why I can't do
logic.
cryptids.
And logic and science. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I completely get where you're coming from. I think, you know, for me, it's also why I love cryptids. Like, I'm not a super fanatic of cryptids. I just do love the kind of thing. It's sort of like the world is such a big place and you know, the world is such a ridiculous place. Why wouldn't you want to live in a world where there is Mothman and fucking Sasquatch and Bigfoot and all these kind of things? Because life would just be kind of boring without it. Not necessarily boring, but just like not as whimsical. And I want to live in a very ridiculously whimsical world.
I totally agree. My only thing is I have a lot of anxiety and I'm a very impatient person. So any story that ends with, but we don't know, just bothers me.
Yeah, really gets under your skin. Fair.
Yeah.
Is that why you like don't do anything to do with the ocean as well? Because it's all, we don't know.
And I know like a lot of science is like, we think this is right, but we don't know. But like, there's been some empirical research done into why they think this is right and why it seems like, So that's me. I love cryptid loving people. Yes.
They are the most enthusiastic. It's the most healthy version of conspiracy theorists, really.
Yeah, that's true. They're like, there's just
anyone.
This phenomenon out there. We're trying to understand it. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
They're biologists at heart, really.
Yeah. Crypto-zoologists, that's what they're called.
Oh, right. Yes,
wonderful.
That's a term.
That is a thing. It's wonderful. So for like the 1% of the listeners who don't know what cryptids are and what cryptozoologists are, basically it's any sort of mythical creature. I'm pretty sure you could have worked this out from like the beginning of the episode and what we're talking about, but just wanted to make it absolutely clear. It's sort of any mythical creature that has been cited or, you know, kind of even just thought of. So unicorns would count as a cryptid. Bigfoot. And specifically today's episode's theme, the Mothman of Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
Ooh.
So we will be doing 2002's the Mothman Prophecy. And then we will also be doing the 2020's The Mothman Legacy. How something. It's definitely not wonderful. It's definitely something.
Yeah, it's I learned a lot today.
Okay, I'm glad. Look, at least you're coming away with something.
And at the same time, I learned nothing at all.
Yes, it was very confusing. I think these two movies really did confuse the Mothman legacy more than it needed to be confused, or, you know, more confused than it already was. So
Mm.
this is exciting. So let's see who gets to go first. What are you drinking today?
I'm having a red wine.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
Yeah, it is nice. I'm really actually I took a sip just now. I was like, oh, so I'm really enjoying it today.
That's lovely. That's good. I'm
Mm.
glad. I'm very, very happy.
What are you drinking?
There is, as I was saying to you before we started this episode, I'm moving my girlfriend into her new apartment, and we don't actually have any alcohol in the place yet. So I'm just drinking a lovely, lovely cup of tea, a little sheep on the
Ah,
mug for our YouTube
that is a very
listeners.
cute
Little-
mug. I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's adorable. So yeah, nice little calming cup of tea, which is very nice. So yeah,
Lovely.
so I guess that means we're starting with Legacy today.
Oh, cool. I definitely didn't fall asleep halfway through the movie and sleep through a good middle chunk of it.
That's fine because I fell asleep through part of my movie. So we're going to be
We
filling
can
in
fill
each
in the
other.
blanks.
It's going to be great.
Well, there's not really much of a synopsis
No.
to give for Mothman Legacy. It is a documentary that explores the origin of the legend of the Mothman. It was created by or narrated by Lyle Blackburn and created by Seth Breedlove.
Mhm.
It basically explores like the sightings of Mothman in Virginia from like the 1960s onward, and it's build up to the 1967 Silver Bridge collapse in West Virginia, and all of the different theories about what the Mothman could be. They interview some people who have seen the Mothman. And it really just asks a lot of questions and doesn't give a ton of answers.
No, it's sort of it's wonderfully spitbally, isn't it? It's really good.
Yeah.
But I'm
But
dying to know what's
basically-
your. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, no, what I got, my takeaway from it is like people don't really know what its intentions are or what it's there for or what it is, if it's even a Mothman. But people love it and they suspect it either had something to do with the Silver Bridge collapse or it was an omen forewarning against the Silver Bridge collapse. Or it had nothing at all to do with it.
I think C is the right answer there, right?
No, that would be crazy. Don't be ridiculous. It was never seen again after the collapse, Chad. How do you explain that?
I mean, except that it was the documentary. Okay, I'm not even.
Oh, really?
The first bit I want to. I have to know what your cliffhanger is. Like, before we move on to the actual story of this thing.
Oh, it's definitely there's like that intro bit that's like very vague and it's about like fear and folklore and stuff. But that last little, I think like the last 30 seconds or so, it's just like so weirdly unhinged.
Oh my God, it's beautiful. What a way to open a documentary.
What a way to start your documentary strong and say, we don't really understand what we're talking about, but no one does.
It's the musings of a madman. Like I honestly, I heard that opening speech and obviously it's narrated throughout with the same kind of nonsense logic. And I was like, I need to physically sit and read the transcript because listening to this doesn't make sense to me. Like I cannot like sort of comprehend the words that he's saying.
I understand them all in isolation, but all together, I was like, wait, so what? Like, I'm not like a rhetorical speaker, you know? Like I never studied rhetoric or putting together a good argument. I didn't study law. So I was like, maybe there's like some cleverness going on here that I'm just too dumb to understand.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It was, the words were there because there is literally no dialogue to fill that section. Like the opening scene is literally a woman painting Mothman in a river creek and then being visited by the Mothman.
Yes.
So she gets scared and runs away and leaves her paintings. And it's like, and the movie kind of goes, the documentary goes along in the same vein where it just sort of like throws out these random images. I think that's what really annoyed me about this one was the fact that there was no actual evidence from like any of the sightings, like no photographs, no, like
Yeah.
no actual 1960s. This is our thing. This is what happened,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like the Enfield haunting with the recordings, which I know are very sus, but like, yeah, there's nothing really except like some weird collective hysteria where a bunch of people saw the same thing, or at least they all think they saw the same thing. I don't know. I do think like, I think it's very interesting. And I truly think that like the people in the documentary really believe what they saw. I don't think anyone's trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. I think this is a fairly harmless cryptid thing to believe in, thing to explore.
No, I completely agree with you. Yeah.
I was just very uncompelled by it, because like, yeah, you're right, sometimes you need just like a little evidence, like a blurry picture or a strange recording or something, and you're like, oh shit,
that is literally all I wanted. I just wanted like a picture where I could go, ooh, it could be, it also couldn't be, but you know, it's still like very Nessie. Exciting. I mean, yeah, like Nessie, even
famously
like
faked photo.
Yeah, like Amityville Horror with the little child behind the door, famously faked photo, but still just real enough, just believable enough that you're like, okay, this place is fucked up. But yeah, like I think, just a little shred of evidence instead of these people being like, oh, this is what I saw, and this is, you know, 30 years ago when I was a child, or after I had done an 18-hour shift and I was exhausted, or after I'd been drinking all day. Like, it just felt like they got the worst people, and then they sort of like explained away what they saw by, you know, in their own narrative. And I was just like, oh, come on.
And then there are all these like really horrible reenactments of these people's stories too. I hate reenactments in documentaries. Like, I truly think that they're like the death of video journalism.
The death of video journalism, but the life of the underrated actor who's trying to break through. That is how they pay their rent, Simone.
The only place that there was actual room for reenactments is in that show Haunted, where people are talking about their ghost experiences, because like that's fucking creepy. Like, that's what I want to see. But like a vague Mothman shaped shadow or a glowing red eye did not do it for me.
It's the fact that you would have had to act against this. It's like, hey, do you want to be in our Mothman documentary? Oh yeah, sure. I have nothing to do with the Mothman. Oh no, you're going to be part of the reenactments. I just need you to look scared in this direction.
Or like vaguely concerned.
It's great. It's so good. I love it. I love it. That was one of my favorite things from that documentary, was that. My other favorite thing from this documentary is just the fact that they were just throwing out sort of everything and any sort of theory. So from like top of my mind, it was portal through time, portal through another reality, demons from hell,
aliens,
and then also a curse from a Native American tribe. I thought that one was
or
very suspicious.
The other, which is just like which is just some sort of folkloric creature that we've all willed into being, like a golem.
Yes. Why can't it be that simple, that it was just a collective imaginations that we've created? Oh, I mean, gorgeous.
and I mean, yeah, they pretty quickly poo-poo the scientific suggestions, like maybe it's this giant crane, because they're like, no, but how could it be so tall?
Yes, how could it be a crane? Why wouldn't it be a man-sized moth that we just love to see? That's, you know, oh, it's so good. I love what you said there about like the people in the documentary are super interesting. I mean, the guy who created the Mothman Museum and his daughter are just so lovely.
Love it. They're so nice.
They're
like,
so
you can't be mad at them.
No, not even a little. Like, I want to go and visit their museum because it just looks like a lot of fun. And so like, you know, there's that bit at the end, which again, completely out of place, made no sense in this documentary, where he's just like, I want to live a life that's really kind. And that's all you can do in this life, is just be kind to each other. And it's like, that's really sweet, guy. But also, this is a documentary about the Mothman. Why aren't we talking more about the Mothman? Like, where did I want a whole documentary
about this man and his museum?
Yes. And I think that's where they missed the point. I think this should have been a documentary, and the name even lends it to a documentary about this guy, the
and this
Mothman
town.
legacy. Yes, absolutely. That's what I cared about. I did not give a shit about
Yeah.
really like finding out about more about the Mothman, really.
Yeah. And these weird, terribly written musings on the nature of fear and folklore.
Yes, definitely. But going back to your point earlier, the whole thing around it and what's supposed to make it really spooky is the fact that like the Mothman disappeared after the Silver Bridge collapsed into the Ohio River. But then, so the documentary gets to that point, and probably that's where you fell asleep. The documentary gets to that point, and then it goes, and then he was seen again in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, and it's like, okay, so then
Cool.
it defeats the whole purpose.
Are
of
you
the
telling
original
me
myth.
that our movie with Richard Gere lied to me?
Oh, okay. I have issues with the Richard Gere movie, which we will get into in great depth. But
Because Chad can be furious about very few things in this life. He watched the whole Mothman documentary with an open heart, but what he cannot stand is movies riddled with inaccuracies.
Okay. I'm gonna bury my feelings, and they're gonna explode in the next half an hour. I promise you. So, what did you enjoy about it? Like, what was your sort of, what did you actually glean from the documentary?
My golden nugget.
Okay, yeah, let's move on to golden nuggets then. Yeah. Okay, what was your golden nugget for this one?
I think the thing I liked about the documentary is like I feel like sometimes cryptid documentaries do this thing where they kind of make fun of the people, or like visually don't take the people who are telling their stories seriously. Or like, I don't know, there's some sort of cynicism on the part of the documentary maker. And they're just portrayed as these like small town hicks who don't understand anything. And like this movie, I think like really honored the fact that people were willing to share their stories and come forward about it, and just treated them like really kindly. Which I thought was nice. Because again, I don't think that the Mothman legend is hurting anyone. It's kind of nice sometimes. And I like that the documentary had not an ounce of cynicism, really.
No, it was so pure at heart, and that is beautiful, especially given that it was made by
someone who fucking loves the Mothman legend.
Exactly, and wanted to track it throughout time, and it's you can't fault that. I mean, I've already mentioned sort of mine in the fact that it's just, it's the man who runs the Mothman Museum and his wonderful daughter and their sort of relationship. And it's just really cute. He's just, there's that bit where the daughter's like, oh, every time there's the Mothman festival comes to town, our population doubles. Point Pleasant is only 10,000 people, and all these people flock from all around the world for the Mothman festival. And my dad does this, and I'm going to take over. And I was like, this is family. This is family coming together over the most ridiculous thing. And that's so
cry?
human. I didn't cry this time. No. I saved my tears for Richard Gere.
Oh, boy.
So would you recommend this?
I think if this is your bag, like go for it. It's not the worst cryptid documentary I've ever seen by a mile. The production value is pretty good. If you like a nice reenactment, like I don't hold that against you. I just hate them. I mean, if you're into cryptids, if you want to know more about the Mothman legend, maybe you've seen it around. It's very fun and sexy at the moment. This is a great place to get like a quick synopsis of what you've missed.
Yeah, exactly. It takes you really right through from like the 50s to modern times. So it will be good for you that way. Yeah, I agree. I think this is the perfect Netflix documentary. You've watched Seaspiracy, you've watched Cowspiracy, you've watched the Michael Jordan one, The Last Dance, that's what it's called. And you're really running low on documentaries, and then you just see the Mothman legacy. And it's perfectly Netflix. It's so lovely and darling. I would recommend it if you're into documentaries and you just want to like take your brain out. This is not a serious documentary, and it's pleasant. It's really pleasant.
Or if you want to watch like a spooky documentary with someone who doesn't like spooky things.
Yes. Good.
This is perfect.
It's a good honeypot.
Mothman is not scary.
No, it's not. It's a good honeypot. We've spoken about these honeypots where it's just like, oh, it's not scary, and then you put it on so that the person who doesn't like spooky things trusts you, and then you put on something that's actually spooky.
Then you put on haunted afterwards.
Yeah, and then it makes them poo themselves, but you win because you got to watch it with a loved one. Yes, the honeypot. We love a good honeypot. Well, talking about bad honeypots, Simone, shall we talk about the 2002 Richard Gere, The Mothman prophecy, based off of the book by the same name?
Let me ask you this, Chad. What is the longest movie ever? And I'm going to tell you now, it's not Lord of the Rings Extended Edition.
It is definitely not Lord of the Rings Extended Edition. It is this movie. It is the 2002 Mothman prophecy. I thought that I had aged with this movie.
I could feel myself aging.
My girlfriend watched this movie with me. She never takes naps, but she took a nap in this movie because it was just so long. When I saw that it was an hour and 59 it was an hour and 59 minutes, I was shocked. But then when I reached the end of it and I was like, how is this not 3.5 hours long? I don't understand. I feel like I've been here all day.
Truly, I got to the end of the movie. I turned to Rudy. I was like, this is 3 hours of my life that I'll never get back. And only 2. I don't know. Much like Mothman, this might have exploited a pocket in time or something. Like,
yes,
my
100%.
God.
It exploited a pocket in time, but it also took from us way more than it deserved to take from us. And I'm so mad at it. Okay, shall I tell you the synopsis? I didn't write this, so it's going to be a bit all over the place.
By all means, Chad, like there's a whole lot of middle that you can just kind of breeze through.
Skip through. Yeah. Okay, so we start with John Klein, who is played by Richard Gere, who is this reporter for the Huffington Post. He is married to Mary Klein, played by Deborah Messing, who does a spectacular performance in this.
Oh.
It's brilliant. So the movie opens with them going to view a house. They go into the house, they really love it, so they decide to buy it. On the way home, they're feeling all excited and horny and really happy, so they're speeding home when suddenly, out of nowhere, Mary sees something with bulging red eyes coming towards the car. She freaks out, she swerves the car, ends up whacking her head really, really hard against the window of the car and blacking out. John takes her to the hospital and they find out that she has a really, really rare tumor in her brain. Only 1 in 600,000 people get it, but you know,
that's like not only. Like,
yeah,
that's very. That's actually
that
pretty
confused me.
Worrying, frankly, as a number.
Yeah, maybe in like, you know, that's what really. Okay, we'll get into it properly.
No,
but
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
We'll come back to that point because that is another point that I want to bring up in this movie: the inconsistencies of time. So we'll get into that. So you know, they're really sad, whatever. Unfortunately, over time, even though it looks like Mary's going to recover, she eventually dies. So Richard Gere, John Klein is really upset about this, but he just has to go on with his life. 2 years later, he is still trying to like recover from this loss of his wife and everything, and he is doing an interview with a politician. So he has to go to another state. I can't remember which state, maybe Chicago, can't remember. So he decides to drive there. Sort of an hour into his journey, his car dies. Sort of he loses track of time and his car dies. He doesn't know where he is. He's in the middle of nowhere. So he goes up to this house and the guy from the house tries to shoot him. John is obviously confused. The cop from the town, the local sheriff, Connie Mills, played by Laura Linney. It was so good to see her. She kind of de-escalates the situation. Everything's hunky-dory. The whole issue with this is that the farmer, whose name is who's Ed Fleischman, played by David Eigenberg, he has basically said that John Klein has come to his house 3 nights in a row and basically harassed him and his wife at the exact same time, 2:30 in the morning. What makes this even weirder, apart from the fact that John Klein hasn't been to the house 3 times in a row, is that he is now in Point Pleasant, Ohio, which is kind of 400 miles out of the direction where he was supposed to be going. Plus, he also traveled 400 miles in an hour. So there was like a time rift or something, plus this whole thing with him being there for 3 days. It's all very fucking weird, and you know, he doesn't know what's going on. Him and what's her name? Connie sort of chat, they sort of clear everything up, and then a whole bunch of shenanigans ensue. Everyone's sort of like going a little bit mental. No one knows what's kind of happening. Connie also tells John that the town, like weird things have been happening in the town. So, you know, everyone's a little bit on edge. Eventually, Ed and John become friends, and that's when Ed reveals to John that he's been seeing things, he's been having visions and really bad headaches, and that's when he reveals to John as well that he heard a voice which said that 99 people are going to die on a flight or something like that. They obviously don't believe him. They go on about their business. Next day on the news, a flight has crashed, and 99 people are dead. So it's all like, oh my God. He kind of predicted this. Who is this person, you know, who told Ed about this whole thing? As the movie develops, more of these prophecies come through. They realize that it's a guy whose name I can't remember, something like Idrin Koldberg or something. I can't really remember. It's not really super relevant, but it's this like ethereal subject who only phones John and Ed and speaks
whose
that way.
Voice supposedly couldn't have come from human vocal cords.
Yes, it was all electromagnetic. I think that's what they said it was, which is
sure
fun. Yeah, makes sense. So as the movie progresses, John is getting more and more crazy. He's starting to see Mary everywhere that he goes. But at the same time, he's kind of like also falling in love with Connie. It's not really explained. Just want to let that vehicle go. Cool. It's not really explained. Sort of the time progression in this movie is very, very weird. Suddenly it's Christmas, and it's New Year's, and you know, John has been spending all of this time in Point Pleasant, and all of this weird shit's happening. So next thing he gets a message from the futuristic non-human entity who basically says there is going to be a massive tragedy on the Ohio River. John thinks that this is going to coincide with the visit from a local politician at the chemical plant. And so he tries to warn the politician. The politician's like, nah, you crazy. And he goes to the chemical plant anyway. Turns out nothing actually happens at the chemical plant. Everything is hunky-dory. John is obviously very upset about this because he sort of believed that this this prophecy would come through. He heads back home to his home state of Washington, and that's when Connie calls him and is like, "Oh, don't be alone on Christmas. Come back to Point Pleasant. You were just here an hour ago. I don't know why I didn't say it then." And he's like, "Oh no, but the voice said that Mary's going to phone me from the great beyond." And sort of he eventually is just like, nah, fuck this, and throws the phone before Mary can phone him and heads on back to Point Pleasant. He is then at the entrance to the Silver Bridge on the Ohio River when he suddenly realizes that this was the prophecy all along. This was the great tragedy that would befall the Ohio River. He tries to get everyone off the bridge, doesn't really work. 36 people die, but Connie is also on the bridge, but he is able to save her. The movie ends with them being sort of amazed by the fulfillment of dreams and prophecies, and it's all great. And not once is a Mothman seen in this movie. Not once.
I mean, some shadows. Mothman flies over the hood of the car at the beginning.
I'm so mad at this. I don't.
You know what? I'm just gonna let you feel this out for a bit.
Thank you. You can't call a movie The Mothman Prophecies and then have shadows of a Mothman.
Did you want to see the full Mothman?
I wanted the Mothman to be there constantly. I wanted him over John's shoulder. I wanted this like
he
horrific...
sometimes appeared like in reflections when John like walked away and stuff.
Yeah, but like maybe like once or twice. I feel a very
you're
huge
being
loss.
like a little needy.
The movie is called The Mothman Prophecy, Simone, not The Mothman Skulks Around in Shadow.
Yeah, if it were called that, then we'd see more of him. This is about his prophecies, not about him.
Yeah, but he's not even mentioned. He's
Everyone
mentioned like
knows
one.
this whole thing is just a metaphor for Richard Gere's grief.
This is how it all started. This is what actually started the Mothman prophecy. It was just John Klein when he was back in like writing the book with Mothman prophecy, and he was just trying to deal with his grief, which I'm not even sure actually happened because I haven't actually done any research on John Klein. But I'm pretty sure the book is not about his love story with Connie, you played by Laura Linney. I'm pretty sure it was about the Mothman.
I mean, but who could like, okay, so you're gonna put Laura Linney and Richard Gere in a movie together and not have them fall in love? Okay.
What I love about this as well, and we didn't mention this about the your documentary, The Mothman Legacy, is the director of the Mothman prophecy was in your documentary.
Is that a fact?
Yes, he was there. He was chatting about the movie, and sort of why he chose to like pick up the project and everything. And the dude is great. He's typical LA, and he's just so lovely about it. And he's just like, this was my interaction with cryptid zoology and things. And he's like, you know, really making it about him. And it's like, well, this reflects in your terrible, terrible movie, my guy. And he's like, oh, people come up to me all the time and they're like, they loved my movie. And I was like, well, that's suspicious. Why would they do that? I don't understand that.
It's not a good movie.
It's not a good movie. It's not a good movie.
The thing with this movie, though, is it's like very much that thing of like a lot of people talking about what they saw and fucking nothing happening. Like Ed keeps talking about his experiences. People keep talking about their sightings, and he just looks like perturbed. He's like, what does it mean? And then he speaks to like one expert who's like, oh, I think he's like an omen for bad events.
Yeah.
And then that's basically like at the end of the movie, and we've already gone through like a whole fucking hour of Richard Gere just looking perturbed. Yeah,
long distant looks into the distance and lots and lots of silent moments. Although, and this goes to my cliffhanger, which I'll give you now, is the dialogue for this movie is absolutely insane. And so that leads into my cliffhanger, which is the scene where Richard Gere, before he leaves to go to Point Pleasant, he chats to his work friend, and his work friend goes, she's not married, John, and at this and you know what, none of us will be. And it's like, oh no, you misheard. You misheard entirely. You misheard. He said she's not Mary, John, but none of the women you meet will be. Oh, okay, that dialogue makes sense then. But even so, I'm going to stick to my guns. This is a hill I will die on, because there is that other bit in the movie where John's in the hospital with Mary, and the weird fucking nurse comes in and is like, she knows, she's been drawing angels, and then fucks off into the distance. And it's like, okay, what dialogue. A bizarre thing to say to a grieving man. And then later in the movie, he sees a doorway that kind of looks like the silhouette of the nurse, and he's like, brings back that memory, which was a very interesting choice of space and time and 2 hours of my life. It's like the whole thing where like people are placing phone calls that they didn't place. Yeah. And like I was like, okay, so Mothman is doing this. We have no sense of motive or why I'm supposed to care about any of this. This is not building towards like, and even like the bridge collapse scene itself, which I feel could have been like done really tight and been like a very good moment of tension. It's ponderously slow. There's no tension with it. It's just sort of running up and down. They're like, "Oh, get out of the cars!" And people are just like, "What?" And you can see a cable snapping, and people are like, "What?" And it's like, if you're on a bridge and you see a bunch of people gunning it off the bridge, you don't ask questions. Yeah, you move so fast. You know, and that doesn't mean like shitting on like the actual people who died in that accident. That's me shitting on this poor filmmaking that like makes everybody look like the slowest idiots on the planet. Yeah, I don't know about you, but if I'm in a car and I'm on a bridge, I immediately start to panic. Like whether something happens, like if I'm in traffic on a bridge, I immediately start to panic. I'm already planning my exit routes. I'm like trying to like see how far, which end
I
of the
do not
bridge to
trust
run
bridges.
to. No, I'm not a trusting of bridges person either.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, knowing that people in this movie are just like, huh? Why would I just sit on it? Why would I move? I heard a cable snap.
But my
Bro,
car.
if I heard even like if there was a slight breeze and the bridge just moved a little bit suspect,
I'll
I'm
get my
out.
car later. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I don't care that I'm holding up traffic for everyone else. That's fine. You know what? I want to live today. That's my choice. That's my
You can
truth.
drive around me. I've got my hazards on. Thank you so much.
Yeah, straight up. Okay, so this is my biggest gripe with this movie is the insanity of the time. Okay, so
Yes.
Mothman is happened the Silver Lake Bridge crash collapse happened in like 67 something around somewhere around there, 1967. This movie is now telling me that it's happening in a modern time where we have cell phones and Richard Gere can just, whack on a phone call, and then at the end we're just like,
sorry, just 1 second, very quickly. Hold that thought. I've got a small boy
who's
banging on the
being
door.
fun. Fair. Oh, I heard him.
Okay. Oh, sweet boy, come in. Okay, no, come in. Come on. Sorry.
Needy little munchkins.
It is a needy little munchkin. Okay, continue.
So now you're telling me that Richard Klein, because so this is based on the book that Richard Klein wrote, and it really just misses and folds in various events to sort of like fit the narrative that they wanted to make. They were like, okay, there's this very real person, John Klein, who wrote a book about the Mothman prophecies, and now we're going to make this movie about his struggle with losing his wife, and then also his ability to talk to a time traveling weird vocalist, and about weird prophecies of doom. And it's like, okay, and then we're just going to do the silver bridge collapse anyway. We're just going to fold that in, and I like it doesn't speak to the Mothman prophecy. It doesn't speak to the Mothman sort of mythology. It doesn't speak to John Klein's actual book. It's just like a weird romp, and I'm so confused.
Yeah, no, I have nothing to add to that. You're absolutely right. I watched this whole movie. I was like, why is this happening? Why do I have to sit through this? I almost turned it off. Like, Chad, this was one of the first movies where I was like, I might just not finish this because I truly cannot bear this. I've got things to do today.
That is a lot, because I mean, we watch a lot of bad movies, but if this was the one that almost broke you,
it was so long. It was so long.
Oh man, it really did feel long. I think my favorite part was my girlfriend was like lying on my lap while we were watching this, and she just goes, really like whispers it. She just goes, "Oh, Richard Gere, you choose some really bad movies." And I almost
does.
it was just so perfect. She was just like talking directly to Richard Gere and his mess. I mean,
he needed to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, look, he was great in this. To be fair, he really pulled it out. Against anyone else who was trying to act in it, it was him giving it his all, and I appreciated that.
Laura Linney as well, a fantastic actress who deserved better. Deborah Messing playing the wife who's going to die in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I thought that was very sad because she got done dirty by this movie because she was so lovely.
The moment you see a couple that's like deliriously happy, you're like, oh, someone's gonna die.
Someone's gonna die. Yeah, it was so good in that. No, that wasn't good. That was just the characters were good, at least, or like those three were good. I don't really have anything else nice to say about this, unfortunately.
Yeah. I would not recommend.
No, I wouldn't recommend either. It's one of those that you can just skip. Is there a golden nugget for you? Like anything that you can pull out?
You know, I will also say the guy who played Ed, his performance was actually
Mm.
fantastic. Like he truly did an amazing job of playing a guy who feels like he's losing his mind. He did so well. He was the
Yeah.
mainly sympathetic character in the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. Yeah, for me, the golden nugget is the very few really intricately well done scenes. So, you know, even though there was like no sort of gravitas to the bridge collapse, actually collapsing the bridge was pretty intense and was really good.
Yeah.
There was also that scene where I've just literally just forgotten his name. We've just been speaking about him. Richard Gere is on the phone and he's up against the mirror, and the mirror does like it's his reflection, but it does like out of time and it's out of sync, and that is very cool. That is really
cool.
impressive filmmaking. I really appreciated that. That was nice, and it's for those golden moments. Don't watch it because it's 2 hours for about 30 seconds worth of actual film. The joy to risk ratio is way off on this. Yeah, don't watch it, guys. Just stick to Legacy. It's a great film.
Yeah, stick to Legacy, and then just figure out Mothman on your own. Chad, speaking of, now that we're towards the end of this episode, what do you think Mothman is? Where do you fall?
Oh, that's great. I think Mothman is just a giant bird. You know, in sort of, I mean, they mentioned it in Legacy. You know, Native Americans have the belief in the Thunderbird.
Thunderbird, yeah.
I love that idea. You know, they did a really beautiful sort of motif of that in American Gods in the TV show. They did like some really cool like visuals of the Thunderbirds. But yeah, I believe that the Mothman is a Thunderbird. I really do. I think he's just, you know, the last remaining one, and he's just out there trying to protect his land of West Virginia. You know, the Appalachian Mountains. That's my feeling. What do you think the Mothman is?
Oh, I think he's like a collective hallucination. Genuinely, like, you know, it's so area specific. And all of these people, like, it starts off like the visions start off being like, oh, it was like a bird-like thing, it was an owl thing, it was a man thing, and like slowly over time, as people start like talking about it more, it starts honing in on this moth thing with glowing eyes. But that's just an amalgamation of what everyone's seen so far, and then people applying that context to then what they do see. And again, it's not that I think these people are liars or that they're idiots or anything like that. Like, I don't actually know what then the real thing is. I'm just not convinced that Mothman is a Mothman.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, it makes, I get you. I mean, the fact, like, in the documentary that you covered, they actually say like most of the sightings were in what's known as like the TNT zone, because there's like lots of chemical runoff and things. It would make sense to be a hallucination, you know, people going into a chemical ridden area that's just completely decimated by chemicals would hallucinate. Like, it's very plausible.
Not to be a downer, I also found the image, the one lady talked about how she saw Mothman on her roof in the rain with his little wings wrapped around him, but he looked so cold and sad. I want that. I was like, oh, Mothman,
that little picture, I want that. Like, it's so fucking cute. You could just like add a little umbrella and he's just like shielding himself. It's beautiful. Yeah. I like that, like, about your documentary as well, is like you were saying, there was just like authenticity about it, and even in the pictures, and like trying to paint Mothman as this cute little bird who's just like unhappy with the rain
and cold.
Oh, just invite him in.
Hey, what do Mothman eat?
So I've got a follow-up question for you based on your question. What is your favorite cryptid?
I don't know. I don't know enough cryptids to have a favorite, I don't think.
Well, like Nessie or like Bigfoot, or, you know.
I don't have very strong feelings about any cryptids. I feel like Bigfoot has a very toxic fan base, so I don't really want
Yeah.
to like go there.
Fair.
I don't know, maybe like the chupacabra. That's fun, right?
Yeah, you stole mine because I love the chupacabra too. I think he's
Aw.
great. A little Mexican gremlin who goes around slaughtering cows and things. Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. I watched the documentary on the chupacabra once and everyone was just like, oh, it's just a dog. Like literally everyone they interviewed was just like, yeah, it's just a wild dog. It's just a rabid dog. And like they were trying to really push it and be like,
They're like, no,
"Yes,
but the
they said
teeth
it was-"
marks. It's like, it's a dog.
It's a dog. It's a dog. It's a rabid dog. And that was it. And it was so funny to just watch all these people like really trying to push
I will
it.
say that I like the Mothman fandom the most. Those people, it's just so wholesome. People are just like, look at this odd thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's just lovely. It's just really great. Shall we, for our 1000th episode, go to Point Pleasant and visit the Mothman Museum?
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
why not?
That's a thing we could do.
You know, it's two and a half years per 100 episodes, so that is 20
It's
years.
many
of
years
podcasting.
from now.
Yeah. So when we'll be like 48, we'll book a trip. That sounds great.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll go to the States and go straight to Virginia. By New York, by California, by Miami, by Disney World. Don't want none of that.
No, Appalachian Mountains. Let's do it. Let's go visit a weird little town.
Let's go
Super excited.
rural.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, so Simone, what is your gratitude for this week?
My gratitude is actually this little cat next to me right here.
Oh,
he's a bit injured at the moment. He's got an abscess.
Oh, bless him.
Next to his tail, so he's feeling a little sorry for himself. I had to take him to the vet today.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he's just very sad, and I always get so worried when they get injured. Like they're just he's my little baby, this one.
Yeah.
He's my shadow. He follows me around the whole day.
Yeah.
And he loves me and he snuggles me at night, and I feel sad that I can't do more for him, and now I have to spray his little butt twice a day for this abscess to get better. He hates it.
Oh, bless him. Bless him. So you're just grateful for like having him in your life and loving him.
Just love him so much. He's such a little brat.
Oh, he is your baby without a question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
What's your gratitude?
My gratitude, I mean, it might be a little premature in the fact that, you know, we are definitely not out of the pandemic. Guys, seriously, we are
Please
not
just
out
wear
of the
your
pandemic.
fucking masks.
Wear a mask.
Get your fucking vaccine if you can.
Please. The Delta variant is no joke. And if we don't get this under control, there will be more variants, there will be worse, and it's just going to be like fucking never ending.
I'm tired.
I'm so tired of it. But that being said, we have come out sort of the really dangerous heavy part. I want to knock on wood so fucking hard. We've come out of the most like the worst of it, like the 2020 of it all. And I'm just really grateful, like all my friends, all my family have sort of come out of it okay. You know, no one has sort of like in my life has like lost anyone, has like been sort of, you know, detrimentally psychologically affected by it. Everyone's sort of like, we've had our ups and downs, Simone. We definitely have, but overall, we've come out the other side okay.
No, you're right. You're right. We're both employed.
Exactly. And I'm really grateful for that fact. I'm really grateful that, you know, everyone I know has sort of just come through the other end in a good manner, and that makes me very, very happy, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, I like that. That's very sweet.
Yeah. So Simone, next week, it's one of the funniest things I realized is that our last episode before this one was our August roundup because we are terrible podcasters. Our next episode is our September roundup.
Oh, that's funny.
Which is brilliant. So we've done one episode in September that wasn't a roundup. So that is fucking great. We are such good podcasters.
In all fairness, guys, September is like our birthday month, so it was always going to be like a little messy.
That's true. That is very,
and
very
like Chad said, like stuff is opening again. We're getting our lives back, so we might be like a little bit less consistent with posting.
Exactly. But we will still try and bring you episodes as frequently and as in the correct order as possible. And we'll find something if we don't. We'll be there for you. Don't you worry. Just like Friends says, I'll be there always.
Chums.
Chums. We love chums. Russ and Rebecca. Russ and Rebecca.
Yeah. One of my favorite roles of all time.
Oh, it's perfect. Good old Michael Sheen. So for next week, for our September monthly roundup, we are doing Amazon's Cinderella and Afterlife. So 2 movies that have come out
Afterlife
in
of the
September.
Party.
Sorry, Afterlife of the Party. For some reason on my notes, I've just have it as Afterlife. I need to, this is exactly what we're talking about. This is exactly sort of the issues that we have. So yes, that's it. Afterlife of the Party and Cinderella. Should be really fun. I'm excited to see what September has had for us.
Also, love a good fun teen romp.
Yes, exactly. Even though we are bordering on 30.
I mean, we're about the age of the actors playing the teens, so.
Yeah, I think it all works out. It's fine. Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening. We really do appreciate you. Please leave us a review, leave us a rating. It really does help us. And if you want to start a conspiracy about us, maybe that we're the same person, just in, filming this twice, just one person filming it twice, or that Simone actually has wings, or the reason that you don't see my hands ever in these videos is because they are made of, claws. Yeah, just please do that and spread that around the internet. We would love that.
But be kind, guys. Chad's really insecure about his claws.
Yeah, please don't be mean about my claws. Teach me to love. But if you want to talk to us directly about your conspiracy theories, please do. And where can they do that, Simone?
Oh God, please tell us all about it on Facebook or Instagram at Fresh Tomatoes Podcast, on Twitter at Fresh Tomatoes MP, email us your long-winded theories at freshtomatoespodcast@gmail.com.
And QAnon members need not apply.
Oh God, yeah.
No, yeah, 100%. But as
we're conspiracy lights.
Exactly. We don't need none of your bullshit. No, thank you. No, thank you.
No, it's okay.
But to everyone else, as we say at the end of every episode, we love you and there's nothing you can do about it.
We love you and there's nothing you can do about it.
Goodbye.
Bye.